Hey everyone. So today I'll be talking about why I left bedside ER originally. And I've been an ER nurse for 5 years now. I basically started as soon as I could. I graduated in 2019 with like an RN BSN. And then I worked really hard to make sure my first job was in the ER because I worked as like a student tech in on med surge and ICUs and like floating everywhere, and ER was the only unit I could see myself in where I didn't feel like I would go crazy. And so I went with the first ER that would train me as a new grad, and it was where I did my student clinicals at, so I think that helped. Um when COVID hit, I was 8 months in and I loved the job. I always knew that like I wanted to be a nurse practitioner. Sorry, there's like a lot of bugs. I knew that I wanted to be a nurse practitioner. Go away. But when I started ER, I had so much fun and like I made so many friends and saving lives felt good. Like the adrenaline of it. Um, that I was like, I probably don't want to be an MP yet. So I stood in the ER and I didn't like focus on becoming an MP. Then when COVID hit, everything changed. It got so much harder in Florida, where I was in Lakeland. It just the whole job of it like fell to the nurse originally. Like other disciplines and other fields wouldn't go into patient rooms, and then it became all on like the nurse to do 10 times more work for no extra pay or anything like that. So I got burnt out really quick. I ended up after like a while, I think after I hit my 1 year, I believe I took a mini COVID contract while still working my main job, and I had like way more relief because it was the first time seeing like a different ER, and they are not as busy, and so you're not expected to do as much or work as fast, and a lot less pressure and stress. And I got paid like four times the amount I was getting paid for an easy assignment basically for like 2 weeks. That kind of like gave me a peek into like travel nursing world. However, I'm like the type of person who like ethics, morality, and like how I feel at the end of the day matters so much more than money. And I would feel really sad like if I left my team and didn't have the support I had at my hospital. Of course, I was a new nurse, so I think that's where a lot of the fear stemmed from. And then eventually after I was at that hospital for 2 years, the contracts like died down and I was still like so burnt out and fed up with ER. At this point I like worked overtime for like my whole first year, and at this point after like a year and a half I was like so burnt out and just trying to get to day shift because I was night shift, and they just kept getting pushed back because they had like needs on nights. Eventually I finally got to day shift, and that's like when I changed my life around. I started eating healthy, practicing self-care, and once you like start self-care you like can't deny yourself like any longer because like you know the signs of like your body deteriorating and you being like moody and miserable. And so I was like very miserable. I was like breaking out. I had acne problems. I was starting to gain weight, and I think it all stemmed from, I wasn't sleeping. I was night shift. I wasn't working out because I didn't like know how to find the time for it, especially when you like aren't sleeping. I didn't eat very healthy at all either because if you're not sleeping and you don't know how to do time management for self-care, then of course you're just going to make sure you get anything you can get your hands on for food. So once I started self-care, I was like, yeah, I can't stay in this hospital much longer. It's just not worth it. So then, of course, the next step would be, what am I going to do next? So I started travel nursing because realistically, like, even though at this point I started seeing how the healthcare system works, and you go into healthcare, you go into nursing because you like you want to save lives. You literally want to change someone's life by caring and loving them at that moment. But I grew up in like a well-adjusted family, and I had been like sheltered, so I didn't see like how bad the world could be and how mean people could be. So then when you get into healthcare in the ER per se, and you get threatened for the first time, you start seeing work violence and assault and things like that, like dangers of the job. You're like, what? Why are people doing this? And so you like low-key want to step away because it's not what you thought it would be. But then you can't really step away because you got into all this debt from school, these student loans, and so you have to pay off your loans, you have to pay your bills. So then you have to like find a job, you have to keep working. So I went into travel nursing, and that actually helped me focus on myself more again and prioritize self-care. But the problem was it was still ER in Florida, and things honestly they were like worse to the degree at work, to where like things could go up and down either way in patient care, and like that's always nerve-wracking and stressful. But I wasn't doing overtime anymore, and I was just doing my bare minimum of 3 days a week. So it was like, even though a lot of those shifts, like I would hate them at least half of the time, there it was only 3 days a week, and the other four I could recover and forget that I even like was a nurse. So that's mainly what I was doing. But then like at a point, and I started MP school also because I knew I wanted to like leave the hospital. Like seeing like the politics of it during COVID, and like how healthcare is mainly about money. Like that's the main operation that drives it, which I totally get because it costs money in a way. And well, of course it costs money, but I just didn't like. I didn't see myself as part of that anymore. Because I just felt like so much of like our health could be, or health issues could be prevented when you practice self-care and you don't put like a job first, and you make time for like eating healthy, exercise, sleep, connection. But then like you'd come to work and it'd be all about like test, and we're gonna do this for you, and treating people at their worst. And not a lot of people want to focus on prevention, which I get, life's busy. Anyway, I started MP school too while traveling. And so when I wasn't doing my 3 days, I was like focused on school up until I had to start clinicals. Then I left bedside, and I did like nursing teaching for a while, and I'll never do that again. I've never felt like so like overwhelmed by how little I was getting paid. Like that was the biggest pay cut of my career. Like I made more money as a new grad, and being a teacher was fun to a point where like you would have these students, and they would like give you courage and like make you proud of like what nurses can be and the kind of people going into healthcare. Like you just knew that they were gonna like change someone's life because of their care and their hard work and dedication. But then on like the other side, you saw these people, and you're like, oh my gosh, you could never, you should never be a nurse. Like you are lazy, you want everything handed to you, you don't take this seriously. And at the end of the day, I'm sure they can change. Like everyone can change, but like they have to make that choice on their own. You can help guide them to it, but anyway, the politics of that and getting paid so little, oh, it gave me a whole new set of stress. And it sucks because once you like start a job, you can't just like, you can, I guess nowadays you can, but it just looks bad on your resume. So I was like, okay, let's make it to at least 1 year. And so I made it to like slightly over a year before leaving that job and going back to traveling, just because I literally had like no money. And I was always a person who like, you got to do your savings, you have to have your financial goals if you want to escape the 9 to 5. So like having no money for that time was so hard. I had to like budget really hard. Sorry, I keep getting distracted because of these bugs. And I just recently, like, when I was a travel nurse, all the money I made, like, of course you make money and you gotta save it, right? Well, I used that. I went on a little vacation to Europe and also bought a house, things like that. So it's not like I wasn't planning my finances right. I just put myself in a situation where I was like stuck because I bought a house, so I couldn't leave, and then I was miserable at this job because it was the lowest paying job I've ever had as a nurse. So then I graduate MP school and I finished that job and I'm in the point of like getting licensed. And at this point I'm tired of Florida and I wanted an adventure. I know I love travel. I love meeting new people from all walks of life. And like I wanted a better like work condition or environment. But I also wanted to like leave healthcare, but I didn't like have the tools or skill set to do anything else that could just guarantee, a good salary and benefits. And, I had my like friends and like my little sister, like I've seen how hard it is like when people don't have a job and you're looking for a job and the market is not good, so it's like very hard to find a good job if you're not like jumping from jobs and you don't have experience in that field already. It is so hard to like break into that. So it's like I don't want to put myself in a position where I'm like job hunting and then I can't pay my mortgage. So I went back to the only thing I know, and that was ER nursing, travel nursing per se, because that's like the quickest, fastest way I could make money and get myself to a place where I would be comfortable again with a good amount in my savings. And so I did it, and at the same time, I was planning to like leave Florida because I just wanted a new adventure. I felt like trapped. I felt like if I didn't get out and start like seeing the world, then I would never, which is not true. As long as you're breathing, there's always time to change and to make that choice. But for me, I had to like be over dramatic to get myself out of my comfort zone. And so I did, and I moved to New York City, the best city in the world, and I love it. And while here, I this job that I have because I'm back into the bedside. I know, which is crazy, but I actually like love it. Like I love it, and I know I'm not gonna love it forever. Like the reasons that I do love it and why it's different from the nursing jobs I did before is there's so much more teamwork from the different specialties of doctors and residents. Like in where I was, like the nurse had to do a whole lot of stuff. We don't do half of the things in New York City that I had to do in Florida, and it is so nice. Like the residents will do it. If not the residents, then a PA from that specialty will do it. So it's like I don't even have to do like NG tubes anymore because surgeries PAs will come do it for small bowel obstructions. We didn't have to give patients their discharge paperwork. The doctors would do it. The residents would do it. The provider seeing them would do it, which makes so much more sense. And yeah, so basically a lot of like stress came from other doing all these certain tasks, but like having to just like focus on like getting blood work on patients and medicating them was like such a stress relief. The ratio changed to where I like have like maybe 8 patients to 9 to 10, but like which is no big deal if you just have to like focus on medicating them and giving them getting their blood work and making sure they're stable and go to scans and all that. Like it's a lot less stressful versus if I had to do all their EKGs, all their discharge paperwork, any like splinting and all that. Like that takes so much time. So not having to worry about any of that was so nice. But all good things come to an end, and the thing about travel nursing is it's not forever. Like you literally can't stay anywhere more than a year, I believe. And I'm coming to the point where I think I'm at like I've been in New York for 4 months, so I'm over 4 months, and easily we're about to be on 5 months like next week. So I'm literally keeping an eye out for the next thing. Probably an MP job, but the hard part of being an MP and going through these interviews is like I can't lie in interviews like I did when I was young. Like I can't like tell myself, "Oh my gosh, I want this job. I want to stay in a 9 to 5 or 4 day a week, whatever the job was." If I know like I don't really want to do that at the end of the day. Like I could do it for a time and that's what I want. I want to do it for a time, but then I want to travel. I want to see the world and hopefully get like a remote job. Like that is the goal. So it's really hard for me because I was so set on dermatology. I love skincare and it's so hard going into these interviews and not being able to like lie about my passions and goals and dreams, you know? Like when I was young, I I honestly didn't lie in interviews, but I didn't see healthcare like I see it now because I was young and naive, and I just wanted to like save the world and all that. But now that like I'm older and I've seen it and I know it's like it's good, but it's not great. But it like for sure isn't for me. Like it's for some people, but not for me. And it's hard to like have that mindset and go into an interview with usually great people. Like I've only been interviewed by like great doctors, great nurse practitioners, and then it always just comes to this point where I'm like, ugh, ugh, and like the energy changes because like the way you're answering them like change. Like all of a sudden you went from all these great stories and why you're a great candidate to like you not being in you like showing no enthusiasm for certain aspects of the job or schedule and things like that, and it's like, oh, oops. But it's okay. I'm now changing gears and just gonna go for something more easy to get into and just to do and get my 1 year to 2 years to however much I need before I can get a telehealth job and hopefully travel the world like I am now. Well, while I'm at this travel nurse job too, I got my savings up and I'm on a budget now and I'm actually like investing, which I never thought I would be getting into, but I just do like mutual funds, EFTs, the simple stuff, and like my Roth IRA, things like I know will help me retire as soon as possible so I can be free to do me and live my life. But yeah, so mainly that's why I left the ER because and bedside because of burnout. And after healing and going on a little journey, a detour, I found myself back in it. This time I'm happier though, being in New York City, making friends, as you've seen from like all my other videos, like the whole reason I'm here and all. So yeah, hopefully one day I do find like something I'm passionate about that can pay the bills. But like if not, I know I can easily like manage an MP job that is like remote and maybe part time just to like pay my bills and keep my spending low. Because like at the end of the day, I'm happiest when I'm connecting with people and making friends. And I think that's why like in all my previous videos, like I was so huge on like my connections and attachments because they mean so much to me, like so much to me. And so when I was talking about like attachments and connections and friendships, I've come to the point where I realize like a lot of my friends are my family at this point, like with how you bond and the kind of like emotional intimacy you get from those relationships. So, yep. Mm. Next time I'll talk more. It's hard though to like say you want to leave healthcare because there's such a like part of me that loves it. Like I love being an ER nurse. I love saving lives. I love the friends that I've made through it. So it's definitely like still a weird place for me. I might not actually leave it, even though I really want to. Maybe one day. You just gotta work harder. See what comes my way, you know? I do have time though. I've only been in healthcare for 5 years. And at year two is when I knew I could not do this much longer. At year within 3 months I knew I couldn't do this forever. So meeting nurses who've done it for 50 years to 30 years to 40 years, I'm like, wow, that's amazing. What a service you've done. But I I could never. Like I wouldn't survive, I wouldn't make it. Well, all that to say, here I am now. I'm currently in the Dominican Republic trying to practice self-care in this beautiful area. And this low-key might want to be remote so I can come to a place like this, work the 9 to 5, and then just be at a beach or in the mountains with someone I love and the people I love if I could. Take them with me. But I think we all want that at the end of the day. We all want to spend more time with the people we love and to not have to worry about how we pay the bills. It's the endless pursuit, I guess, of freedom. Sorry, I keep looking away, guys. There's just a lot of bugs. And every time a leaf falls, I'm not sure if it's a bug or a leaf. So I'll eventually make a video reviewing this resort and breaking down how much it costs for me to come and do this little 4 or 5 day trip to the DR. So thanks for watching this video or this rant slash yap about me and healthcare, my beef with healthcare. Uh, but yeah, I'll keep you guys updated. Hopefully, good things to come. I'll show you guys the view before we go. The ocean. Thanks for listening. Like, follow, subscribe.